ジョーの野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I'm your host, The Moment of Truth, and today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 20. So the way things were going last episode, I think there's a really good shot. Gonna start this episode, and Joe is gonna lose his fight. Oyama is too well trained, Joe's mindset is all screwed up. He's already suffered a down, I don't care what he says, that wasn't a slip, that was a down. If you get hit, even as, there is a legitimate slip, it still counts as a down. Everybody knows that. It's a down. Joe has been flailing at air. Aoyama has been moving well in and out. Throws a couple combinations. Steps back, lets Joe swing at air. Does it again. And just repeat. And yeah, episode ended with Joe against the ropes. Pretty distraught. And I think we're about to see Joe's defeat. Could be wrong, might be really surprised, but yeah, I really think Joe's about to go down for good. It is disappointing, but I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, honestly, this is like a situation where it's probably best to just rip the Band-Aid off, so yeah, I want to get right to it. But before we begin, as always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. You know, still very much a small channel, so every like, comment, share, subscribe that we can get really helps out, really appreciate it. Patreon link down below. With that, let's get right to it. Sando. Well, at least this intro song always cheers me up. Ga omega ke tatake 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 ashite wa kiito ashite wa dochi da. Battle scarred victory.
イエスが力を制す一方的になってしまったのを言う。
Now would be a really good time to remember something. Oh, the round ended. Oh, Jesus.
基本はどないしたんや。あの鋭い左ジャブや右ストレートを忘れてしもたんかいな。ここで親父に習ったことをやれって。
Oh god, he's purposely not using the stuff Dangpei showed him because it's out of spite.
青山が K を意識してるってかい。そういや後半やたらに顎を狙い撃ちしやがったもんな。基本か。明日のためにその1ジャブ攻撃の突破口を開くためこの際肘を左脇から離さぬ心構えで。
He's dodging everything.
正確なジャブに続く右ストレートはその威力を3倍にも4倍にも。やろう。
He has great movement.
いやおっちゃんしばらくだね。おっちゃんよしてくれよ。俺もうボクシングなんかやめたんだぜ。待ってくれおっちゃん。俺山でやる。俺山で戦えるよ。勝負はこれからない。
Gotta beat the count.
おじいさま見て、彼の目つきを。
先ほどまでとは打って変わったなんと素直な目なんじゃ。
He's guarding. Finally. Some defense. It's honestly a great moment.
いい加減でもう勘弁してくれってか。謝ってんだよな、ジョー。
Nishi understands.
新しい長男や。おっさんよ、青山よ、はっきり断っておくが、今までは青の生倉パンチなんぞ避けるのも保険に関わると思っていたが、これからは自己流に防御もやるぜ。この試合に負けねえため。
あんな構え見たの僕初めてなんです。
どうした青山、何もたもたしてやんで。
ああなるとジョーはちっと手強くなるぜ。
彼はただ守るということに気がついただけなんだ。さあ、行きたまえ、ファイトだ。
He's moving. Sideways movement is always good. There you go. Now you're boxing. I think he's imitating Rikishi here.
フットワークを、足を使い出した。
ようこよ。実にいい日にわしを招待してくれた。感謝するぞ。
Aoyama's tired. He's the one that's used up most of his energy. Alright, good. Offense and defense mixed in. That's a lot of circling.
わしが青山君に仕込んだ通りをそっくりそのまま真似しやがって。わずか3ラウンドの間に相手の動きを見よう見まねですぐに実戦に使えるなんて。
Overreached. Here comes it. Oh, baby.
うん、わかったー。やった、ついにジョーがやったぞ。ジョー。
わしはさっきまであの少年が青山君に敗れることを信じて歌わなかった。だが今わしはその考えを捨てた上感動さえして。
Oh, God. If he doesn't have his movement, he's about to get fucked up.
攻撃だけではなく防御という素晴らしい人間の謙虚さがリング上に加えられているからとも言われている。
Wow. Come on, say something nice to the kid. He almost beat your ass. Yeah, you're physically taxed.
ジョー、大丈夫か。
俺のことより青のことを心配してやんないおっちゃん。
青山君。
Oh, shit.
ジョーよ、お前が勝ち残ったということはまたこの力士と一戦交えることになったってわけだな。あんたの計画は予想以上の好結果を生んだようだぜ。
They can both be his students. It's 100% allowed.
青山君、それにジョー。本当に長い間すまなかった。今までわしはわしなりに苦しんでいたんだ。こうまで人の心をもてあそんでいいものかどうか。ジョー、お前のためさ。お前のためにわしは青山君まで利用したんだ。何もかもボクシングのためさ。全てボクシングのためなんだよ。つまり攻撃型の選手は作れるが、よほど有能なコーチでなければ一人のテクニシャン、つまり防御型の選手は作れないとな。こと防御となるとまず覚えが悪い。というより覚えようとはせん。その典型と言えるのがジョー、お前さ。
Yeah, he is a very aggressive person by nature.
僕を
利用してしまったのだ。防御を教え込むには絶好の素材だったのだ。わしは青山君に防御の全てを教え込み、それでジョーをいじめ抜くことによって防御の重要さを己の肉体から吹き出す血しぶきと苦痛を通して悟らせようとした。自らの身を守るために誰の指図も受けずにいつの間にかカバーリングをやり、フットワークを使いスエーバックをやった。どんな名コーチが仕込んでもこれほどうまくはやるまいと思うほどにな。わしとジョーの明日のためのその後であり、その6、その7だったんだ。
6th and the 7th, holy shit.
よくぞ君に対してわしは。
いえ、とんでもない。段平先生は 僕にこんな弱虫でもやればできるってことを教えてくれたんです。
He's not even mad.
長いことどうもありがとうございました。
おい青、
ジョーお前は。
しばらくほっといてくれ。今まで青、おめえのことを呪ったりバカにしたりすまなかった。謝る。
矢吹さん。
さっきの試合聞いたぜ、お前のパンチ。他の奴らにもさせねえ。まあ今さらお前はバカにしたりするような勇気のある奴はいねえだろ。俺ってな、まったく単純なんだな、本当に。
Humility is good.
負けねえぞ、力石にも。
ジョー
Alright. Things turned out a lot better than I thought they would. Tate. Tatsunda Joe.
立たなきゃ昨日に
Okay, took some time just to gather my thoughts. That was episode 20. So much has happened, and, went into this thinking, okay, we're about to watch Joe lose, and then it gets completely turned around, and Joe ends up winning the fight. And went into this with a certain mindset, and now, leaving the episode, feel a whole lot better about things, and a lot more stuff just makes a lot more sense. So during the fight, Joe finally recognizes the fact that, as I am right now, this isn't going to work. I have to actually take this guy seriously. He is a legitimate threat. I need to start, boxing, not just fighting, actually boxing. So he takes that defensive guard, like this. And it's an acknowledgement by Joe that, I am facing a serious opponent, and I can't just, only try to attack and just overwhelm him. It's not going to work. He even went back to the basics with, the Ashita no Joe, 1 and 2, the jab and the right straight. And even they weren't working because, Aoyama is a really good defensive fighter. He moves very well, so yeah, it's not enough. So when he finally takes that defensive guard for like the first time ever, and he starts taking this seriously, and then he starts using the footwork, things start to fall into place. Initially, Aoyama doesn't know how to deal with the turtle guard, as he calls it, and yeah, he's very hesitant at first and a bit nervous because it's the first time he's actually fighting someone that's taken a solid defensive stance against him, and he's having real difficulty getting his offense going after that point. To make matters even worse, Joe starts using really good footwork that he basically, pulled out of his ass. This is like a situation where he was desperate and he just like almost magically did the right thing in the right moment. Now, in fairness, Joe has seen Rikishi use footwork. He's seen Aoyama do it too, so he probably just, imitated them, and it just, happened to work. Joe has the solid guard. He starts dancing around Aoyama, slowly starts working in punches as Aoyama, fails to hit him throughout. Aoyama overextends and reaches, and at that point, Joe has a perfect opportunity to just, clock him, and he does. Once Aoyama starts taking damage, he starts to slow down. Joe hits him more and more, and eventually, knocks him down, and he gets counted out. There was that really cool scene where Joe is going down, and he's, hallucinating almost. He sees the waves again, and he sees Dangpei painted all in blue, very cold, very distant from him. And he's holding up Aoyama's hand, in victory. And this really gets to Joe on a fundamental level, and he decides, okay, listen, I gotta strip this attitude away from me because it's just a weight on my back that's just destroying any potential I have. This is a moment where it's a real character change for Joe and actual character growth. Even after Joe's victorious, he's not really celebrating. He's just don't worry about me, old man. Look at Aoyama. And then after the fight, Dangpei comes clean and apologizes to both of them, and he basically explains to Joe, listen, you're a great offensive fighter, but, a lot of fighters are like that. It's just in their nature to, be more aggressive than the average person. If that's all you are, you leave yourself open to, so many other things. You need that defensive side of you, and for a lot of fighters, their own pride gets in the way of actually being sound defensively, and Joe is, especially guilty of that. He's a hyper-aggressive fighter. That's, the main attraction that Dangpei was drawn to in the first place. But it's not enough, as good as your offense is, if your defense is weak, eventually, you're going to get hit, you're going to slow down, you're going to get hit more, and then you're going to get knocked out. So yeah, it was just a really cool reveal by Dangpei, and I love the fact that they included that scene and actually spelled it out, in detail, why Dangpei has been so cold and distant towards Joe, his sudden, move towards Aoyama, and it all being, a part of their plan. Thankfully, Aoyama was not, really upset by that, hey, you just used me, because honestly, that's what happened. Instead, Aoyama, kind of looked on the bright side of things, hey, you actually helped me out, even though, I am small, I am, rather weak, you, taught me how to box, and I really appreciate that because, this is what I want to do. He's very passionate about boxing. Dangpei says, he takes towards the defensive because of his nature in a way that, Joe takes towards the offensive because of his nature. So they're kind of like polar opposites in that regard. But yeah, it was a really great moment, and I'm glad they actually like spelled it out for us. I went into this episode thinking we're about to watch Joe lose, and then everything just gets flipped on a dime, and really cool. Joe picked up 2 lessons completely on his own just because he had to in the moment. That's awesome. You absolutely want your fighter to be able to think on their feet, and Dangpei is just enthralled with how Joe managed to just pull it out of thin air. Technically, Dangpei has 2 students now, Joe and Aoyama, which is really cool. I think there's a lot of potential going forward for, like Dangpei, not just to have Joe as his fighter, but a ton of them. Like, he could have an entire school's worth of, boxing students. He could end up opening up a gym. Maybe that's where the story's headed. But yeah, really cool episode. I love that moment. I love, the outcome. I wasn't expecting it, and, that's part of the fun of the show. You do still get surprised. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for now. So as always, thanks for watching, and peace.